The rain hammered against the floor-to-ceiling windows like bullets against armor. Oliver Sterling stood motionless in his empty restaurant, watching the storm rage 47 floors below. The city looked fragile from up here, its light scattered like broken glass across wet asphalt. He loosened his Italian silk tie, the weight of another failed board meeting pressing against his chest. Sterling Innovation stock had plummeted 12% today. The renewable energy patents he'd spent 5 years developing were being challenged in court by Marcus Webb, the man who'd once called him brother. "Sir?" His hostess Caroline appeared at his elbow. "The last reservation canceled." "Should we close early?" Oliver nodded absently. The restaurant felt like a mausoleum tonight. As Caroline began dimming the lights, a figure caught his attention. A woman sat alone at table 12, completely absorbed in a thick book, oblivious to the chaos outside. She wore a simple black sweater that hugged her shoulders, her dark hair falling in waves that caught the candlelight. While everyone else had fled the storm, she remained perfectly still, like the eye of a hurricane. "Miss," Oliver approached her table, his footsteps echoing in the empty space. "We're closing due to the weather." She looked up, revealing eyes the color of storm clouds, fierce and unreadable. "I'm waiting for someone. The storm is getting worse. It's not safe. Neither is going home." The words slipped out before she could stop them. Something raw flickered across her face. She closed the book with trembling fingers. "I'm sorry. I'll leave." Oliver found himself sitting across from her instead of walking away. "What's your name?" "Elena." She studied his face with the intensity of someone who'd learned to read people's intentions in their eyes. "You're him, aren't you? The owner." "Oliver Sterling." He extended his hand, noting the small scar across her knuckles when she shook it. "Who are you waiting for?" Elena's laugh was bitter music. "My lawyer. Divorce papers." She gestured to a manila envelope beside her book. Funny how 7 years of marriage fits into a few pages. Lightning split the sky outside, illuminating her face for one electric moment. Oliver saw something in her expression that mirrored his own exhaustion, the particular kind of weariness that came from being betrayed by someone you'd trusted completely. "What did he do?" The question escaped before Oliver could filter it. "He stole everything." Elena's voice was steady, but her hands clenched. "My research, my patents, my laboratory, put it all in his name while I was in the hospital recovering from the car accident he caused." She touched her collarbone absently, where Oliver could see the faint edge of a scar. Turns out love makes you blind to a lot of things. Oliver felt something cold settle in his stomach. "What kind of research?" "Biomedical engineering. I developed a new type of prosthetic neural interface." Elena's eyes hardened. "My husband made sure I'd never see a penny from it." The irony hit Oliver like a physical blow. Here was a woman whose life had been destroyed by the same kind of betrayal that was currently unraveling his own world. "Your husband wouldn't happen to be Marcus Webb, would it?" Elena's face went white. "How do you know that name?" "Because," Oliver said quietly, "he's doing the same thing to me." Elena stared at Oliver as if he'd materialized from her nightmares. "We were business partners for 8 years. Oliver's jaw tightened. He walked away with half my company's intellectual property and filed injunctions against the other half. Claims I stole his ideas. The renewable energy patents. Elena's voice was barely a whisper. He bragged about them during the divorce proceedings, said they'd make him richer than God. Thunder crashed overhead, but neither of them flinched. They sat in the candlelit restaurant like conspirators planning a revolution, bound by the shared wound Marcus Webb had carved into both their lives. "How long were you married?" 7 years. We met at MIT. Elena's fingers traced the rim of her water glass. "He was charismatic, brilliant. Had this way of making you feel like the only person in the world who mattered. Until you stopped being useful." Oliver poured them both wine from a bottle he'd been saving for a celebration that never came. "He did the same thing to me. Made me believe we were building something together. Then one morning, I woke up to find half my research team had been poached, my patents contested, and Marcus sitting across from me in a board meeting like we were strangers." "When did you realize?" 3 months ago. You?" 6 months. Elena took a long drink. "The night of the accident. I was driving home from the lab and someone ran me off the road. The police said it was a drunk driver who fled the scene. but I found text messages on Marcus's phone 2 weeks later. He'd hired someone. The candle between them flickered, casting shadows across her face. He tried to kill you. He needed me out of the way to finalize the patents. The accident put me in a coma for 2 weeks. When I woke up, everything I'd built was gone. Oliver felt rage coil in his chest, hot and dangerous. We could destroy him. Elena's eyes met his, and something electric passed between them. Not just shared pain, but recognition. Two broken people who'd been pushed too far. I have documentation, she said slowly. Lab notebooks, emails, witness statements from my former research team. Everything dated and notarized before the accident. I have his confession on tape. He got drunk at a charity gala last month and admitted everything to someone he thought was an investor. I was wearing a wire. Elena leaned forward, her voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. If we combine our evidence, we could file a joint lawsuit. Criminal charges for fraud, attempted murder, intellectual property theft. He'd lose everything he stole from us. The storm outside began to quiet, but the one building between them intensified. Oliver reached across the table, his hand covering hers. Her skin was warm, her pulse racing beneath his fingertips. This isn't just about revenge, is it? Elena asked. No, Oliver admitted. It's about taking back what's ours. Elena turned her hand over, lacing her fingers through his. The touch sent electricity up his arm. When do we start? Tomorrow. My lawyers can have the paperwork ready by noon. Elena smiled, and it transformed her face from haunted to dangerous. There's something else you should know. Marcus is meeting with the patent board on Friday to finalize the transfer of your renewable energy technology. If he succeeds, you'll never get it back. How do you know that? Because Elena pulled out her phone, showing him a calendar screenshot. He's using my neural interface technology as leverage. He's offering them both as a package deal to a defense contractor. Once that sale goes through, it's over. Oliver felt the floor drop out from under him. We have 3 days. 3 days to build a case strong enough to stop him. Elena's grip tightened. Can you do that? Oliver looked at this woman who'd appeared in his restaurant like an answer to a prayer he hadn't known he was praying. Beautiful, brilliant, and just as damaged as he was. With you, yes. Elena stood, gathering her divorce papers and her book. Oliver noticed the title for the first time. The Count of Monte Cristo. Meet me tomorrow morning. 9 a.m. I'll text you the address. She scribbled her number on a napkin. Don't tell anyone where you're going. Marcus has eyes everywhere. As she turned to leave, Oliver caught her wrist. Elena, why are you helping me? She looked back at him, and in her eyes, he saw something that made his breath catch. Not just anger or determination, but something deeper. Something that felt like destiny. Because for the first time in 6 months, I don't feel alone. She walked out into the dying storm, leaving Oliver standing in the empty restaurant with her number in his hand and a dangerous hope blooming in his chest. His phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Don't trust anyone. Not even me. See you tomorrow. Oliver smiled in the darkness. The address Elena had sent led Oliver to a converted warehouse in the industrial district. Morning fog clung to the streets like ghosts. He parked 3 blocks away, as she'd instructed, and walked the rest of the distance with his collar up and his head down. Elena was waiting inside, surrounded by monitors, documents, and what looked like enough evidence to bury Marcus Webb forever. She wore jeans and a white t-shirt, her hair pulled back, and Oliver thought she'd never looked more dangerous. Welcome to my war room. Oliver stepped inside, the door closing behind him with a heavy click. The space was sparse but efficient. One wall was covered in photographs, timelines, and handwritten notes connected by red string. Marcus's face appeared dozens of times, always smiling, always confident. You've been planning this for a while. 6 months, Elena confirmed. Since the day I realized he tried to kill me. She handed Oliver a cup of coffee. I've been documenting everything. His meetings, his contacts, his mistresses. Mistresses? 3 that I know of. One of them works at the patent office. Elena pulled up a photograph on her laptop. Her name is Diane Chen. She's been feeding Marcus insider information for 2 years. Oliver studied the image. A young woman with sharp features and calculating eyes. That's how he knew about my patent filings before they were public. Exactly. Elena opened a folder. I have bank statements showing payments from Marcus to Diane. $50,000 every quarter. And I have recordings of their phone calls. She pressed play. Marcus's voice filled the room, smooth and arrogant. The sterling patents will be ours by Friday. Make sure the board sees the revised applications first. I don't want any complications. Oliver's hands clenched into fists. Where did you get this? I hired a private investigator 3 months ago. Cost me everything I had left, but it was worth it. Elena's eyes met his. With this evidence and your confession tape, we can file criminal charges today. Marcus will be arrested by tonight. Why wait until now? Why not go to the police months ago? Elena's expression shifted, something unreadable crossing her face. Because I needed to be sure. Sure of what? That you were real. The words hung between them, heavy with meaning. Oliver stepped closer, close enough to smell her perfume. Something clean and sharp like rain. What does that mean? Elena reached up, her fingers brushing his jaw. It means I needed to know if you were another one of Marcus's games. If you were bait to draw me out. And now? Now I know you're just as broken as I am. Oliver caught her hand, pressing it against his face. We're doing this together. No more secrets. No more secrets. Elena agreed. She kissed him then, fierce and hungry, and Oliver felt something inside him crack open. Not breaking, but expanding, letting light into places that had been dark for too long. Her mouth tasted like coffee and determination, her body fitting against his like they'd been designed to collide. When they broke apart, both breathing hard, Elena's phone buzzed. She glanced at the screen and went pale. What is it? Marcus. Her voice was barely a whisper. He's outside. Oliver moved to the window. A black Mercedes sat across the street, engine running. Through the tinted windows, he could see a figure watching the warehouse. How did he find us? Elena's hands were shaking as she backed away from him. Oliver, I need to tell you something. The tone of her voice made his blood run cold. What? The private investigator I hired. The one who got all this evidence. Elena's eyes filled with tears. Marcus recommended him. Oliver felt the world tilt. What are you saying? I'm saying I think I've been feeding Marcus information this entire time. About you, about your defenses, about everything. The betrayal hit him like a physical blow. You've been working with him? No, I didn't know. I swear I didn't know until this morning. Elena grabbed her laptop, pulling up an email. The investigator sent me this an hour before you arrived. It's a payment confirmation from one of Marcus's shell companies, dated 3 months ago, the same day I hired him. Oliver read the email, his vision blurring with rage and heartbreak. Everything you told me last night. Everything we planned. He knows all of it. I didn't mean to. Oliver, please, you have to believe me. How can I believe anything you say? Oliver's voice was raw. For all I know, this is part of the plan too. Get me to trust you. Bring me here. Hand me over to Marcus gift-wrapped. That's not what this is. Then what is it, Elena? Because from where I'm standing, it looks like you just destroyed any chance we had of stopping him. Elena's phone buzzed again. A text message from Marcus. Bring him out or I'm coming in. You have 5 minutes. Oliver saw it and laughed, the sound bitter and broken. You were supposed to deliver me. I won't do it. Why not? You've done everything else he wanted. Elena moved fast, grabbing a USB drive from her desk and pressing it into Oliver's hand. Because this has everything. Every piece of evidence I collected. Every recording, every document. It's all here, and it's real. How do I know that? You don't. Elena pulled a gun from her desk drawer, checking the magazine with practiced efficiency. But you're going to have to trust me anyway. Oliver stared at the gun, then at Elena, then at the USB drive in his hand. What are you doing? Fixing this. Elena moved to the door. There's a back exit through the basement. It leads to an alley 2 blocks from your car. Take the drive and run. Get it to your lawyers. File everything today. What about you? Elena smiled, and it was the saddest thing Oliver had ever seen. I'm going to buy you time. Elena, don't. He won't kill me. Not until he knows if I made copies. She touched his face one last time. I'm sorry for everything. I really did want to help you. I believe you. The words came out before Oliver could stop them, and he realized they were true. Despite everything, despite the betrayal and the manipulation and the impossible mess they were in, he believed her. Elena kissed him again, soft and desperate. Then run. She pushed him toward the basement stairs as the front door exploded inward. Marcus Webb stood in the doorway, flanked by two men in suits. His smile was all teeth and venom. Hello, Elena. Hello, Oliver. I think we need to have a conversation. Oliver froze on the basement stairs, Elena's gun now trained on Marcus. The two suited men reached for their weapons, but Marcus raised a hand, stopping them. Now, let's be civilized. Marcus stepped into the warehouse, his expensive shoes clicking on the concrete. He looked exactly as Oliver remembered, handsome, polished, and utterly empty behind the eyes. I'm not here to hurt anyone. I just want what's mine. You mean what you stole, Elena said, her voice steady despite the gun trembling in her hands. Marcus laughed, the sound echoing off the bare walls. Stole? Elena, darling, you signed the papers yourself, while you were in the hospital, recovering from that unfortunate accident. He moved closer, each step deliberate. You were so grateful that I was taking care of everything for you. The business, the patents, the legal matters. You trusted me completely. Because I loved you. Love. Marcus said the word like it tasted bad. Such a useful emotion. It makes people so wonderfully blind. His eyes shifted to Oliver. You understand, don't you, old friend? You trusted me too. Believed we were partners, brothers, even. Oliver climbed back up the stairs, positioning himself beside Elena. The USB drive felt like a bomb in his pocket. Why? Oliver asked. We had everything. The company was succeeding. We were changing the world. You were changing the world, Marcus corrected. I was just the business guy, the one who handled the boring stuff while brilliant Oliver Sterling got all the glory. Bitterness dripped from his words. Do you know what it's like to stand in someone's shadow for 8 years? To watch investors and reporters and everyone else act like you don't exist? So you destroyed us both out of jealousy? I liberated myself. Marcus pulled out his phone, showing them a stock ticker. Webb Industries went public this morning, using your renewable energy patents and Elena's neural interface technology. Current valuation, $2.3 billion. Elena's gun lowered slightly, shock registering on her face. $2 billion? And climbing. By Friday after the patent board finalizes the transfers. I'll be worth more than both of you combined ever could have been. Marcus pocketed his phone. So here's what's going to happen. You're going to give me whatever evidence you think you have. Then you're going to sign non-disclosure agreements. And then you're going to disappear. And if we don't? Oliver asked. Marcus nodded to his men. They pulled out not guns, but tablets, turning them to face Oliver and Elena. The screen showed surveillance footage. Oliver's daughter, Emma, leaving her college dorm. Elena's younger brother, David, at his physical therapy appointment. Elena's gun came back up, but her hands were shaking harder now. If you touch them, I won't have to. Marcus's smile widened. Because you're both smart enough to know when you've lost. Give me the evidence. Sign the papers, walk away. Your families stay safe, and you get to live with the knowledge that you tried your best and failed. Oliver felt the USB drive burning in his pocket. Everything they needed to destroy Marcus was right there. But the price was Emma's safety. Oliver, Elena whispered. We can't let him win. Your daughter is 19, right? Marcus pulled up another image on his phone. Emma smiling, unaware she was being watched. Pre-med at Columbia. Brilliant girl. It would be such a shame if something happened to her. The world narrowed to a pinpoint. Oliver had spent years building his company, fighting for his patents, believing in justice and truth, and the fundamental goodness of people. And in one sentence, Marcus had reduced all of it to nothing, because Emma mattered more than everything. Oliver pulled the USB drive from his pocket. Don't, Elena said, grabbing his arm. Oliver, please. If we give up now, he wins forever. I know. There has to be another way. There isn't. Oliver looked at her, memorizing her face. The fierce intelligence in her eyes, the strength in her jaw, the way she stood like she was ready to fight the whole world. Not one that keeps the people we love safe. I can't watch you do this. You don't have a choice. Oliver held out the USB drive. Marcus reached for it, triumph written across his features. Elena moved faster than either of them expected. She grabbed the drive from Oliver's hand and ran, not toward the back exit, but straight at the windows along the far wall. Marcus shouted. His men pulled their guns, and Elena threw herself through the glass in an explosion of light and sound. "No," Oliver screamed. The warehouse was 3 stories up. Elena disappeared into the fog below, the USB drive clutched in her hand, glass raining down like diamonds. Oliver ran to the broken window, his heart in his throat, and saw her lying on the fire escape 1 floor down. Blood streaked her face, but she was moving, already pulling herself up. She looked up at him, their eyes meeting through the fog and the distance. "Run," she shouted. Marcus grabbed Oliver's shoulder, spinning him around. His face was twisted with rage. "You think this changes anything? I'll find her. I'll find the drive. And then I'll make both of you wish you'd taken my deal." Oliver smiled, and there was nothing friendly in it. "You're going to have to catch her first." He drove his elbow into Marcus's stomach, grabbed one of the tablets showing Emma's location, and ran for the basement stairs. Gunshots echoed behind him, bullets punching through drywall and concrete. Oliver hit the basement at a full sprint, found the exit Elena had described, and burst into the alley. His phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "Train station. Platform 7. 20 minutes. Come alone." Oliver ran. Behind him he could hear Marcus screaming orders, sirens wailing, chaos erupting. But ahead of him was Elena, somewhere in the city, hurt and hunted and carrying the only thing that could save them. Both. He had 20 minutes to find her. Had 20 minutes to decide if revenge was worth more than survival. He had 20 minutes to figure out if the woman he'd fallen for in the span of 2 days was a partner or a beautifully crafted trap. Oliver ran faster. Oliver reached Platform 7 with 3 minutes to spare, his lungs burning, his shirt soaked with sweat and rain that had started falling again. The station was nearly empty, just a handful of commuters hunched against the weather. He scanned the platform frantically, searching for Elena. She stepped out from behind a concrete pillar, blood still streaking her face from the glass, her left arm cradled against her ribs. But she was standing, and she was holding the USB drive, and when she saw him, something like relief flooded her features. "You came. Did you think I wouldn't? I thought you'd run. Take your daughter and disappear. It would have been the smart thing to do." Elena held out the drive. "This is yours. Everything we need to destroy him. You should take it and go." Oliver moved closer, ignoring the drive, his hands framing her face instead. "Are you insane? You jumped through a 3rd-story window." "2nd story. The fire escape broke my fall. You could have died. I know." Elena's eyes searched his. "But I couldn't let you sacrifice everything for me. Not after what I did. The investigator, the information leak. I brought Marcus right to us. You didn't know. I should have known. I should have been more careful." Her voice cracked. "I'm so sorry, Oliver. For all of it." The platform announcement echoed overhead. 2 minutes until the next train. Oliver pulled Elena against him, careful of her injuries, breathing in the scent of her hair beneath the blood and the rain and the fear. "We're doing this together. No more running. No more sacrifices. Marcus will come after our families. Not if we move first." Oliver pulled out the tablet he'd taken from the warehouse. "I have this. It shows everywhere Marcus has surveillance on Emma and your brother. We can warn them, get them somewhere safe. And then we go to war." Elena pulled back, studying his face. "You really mean that? Every word." Oliver took the USB drive from her hand. "But I need to know something first. Last night in the restaurant, was any of it real?" The question hung between them, fragile and dangerous. A train pulled into the station on the opposite platform, its doors hissing open, passengers flooding out. "The divorce was real," Elena said quietly. "The patents Marcus stole, the accident, all of it real. But the timing of me showing up at your restaurant?" She looked away. "The investigator told me to be there. Said someone might reach out if I looked vulnerable enough. I thought he meant a journalist or a lawyer who could help. I didn't know it was you he was setting me up to meet." Oliver felt something twist in his chest. So it was a trap. It was supposed to be. Elena's hands gripped his jacket. "But then you sat down across from me, and you looked at me like I was a person instead of a problem to solve. And when you told me about Marcus, I saw the same pain in your eyes that I felt every time I looked in the mirror. That was real, Oliver. Everything after that moment was real. How do I know you're not lying right now? You don't. Elena reached up, her fingers tangling in his hair. You just have to decide if you trust broken people to tell the truth. The announcement came again. 1 minute until their train. Oliver made his decision. He kissed her, deep and hard and full of all the reckless hope that had been building since the moment he'd seen her sitting alone in his empty restaurant. She kissed him back like she was drowning and he was air, like they were the only two people left in a world that had tried to destroy them both. When they broke apart, the train was pulling into their platform. Last chance to run, Elena said. I'm done running. They boarded the train together, taking seats in the empty back car. Oliver powered up his laptop, plugged in the USB drive, and started uploading everything to his legal team. Bank statements, recordings, photographs, timelines, years of Marcus Webb's corruption laid bare in thousands of files. Elena made phone calls, her voice urgent and low, warning her brother, coordinating with Oliver to contact Emma. Within 30 minutes, both families were on their way to secure locations, protected by security teams Oliver had kept on retainer for situations exactly like this. It's done, Oliver said as the final files uploaded. I just sent everything to the FBI, the patent office, and 3 different journalists. Marcus is finished. Elena leaned back against the seat, exhaustion finally catching up to her. It'll take months to process, maybe years. He'll fight every charge. Let him fight. We have time now. Oliver laced his fingers through hers. And we have each other. Do we? Elena's voice was small. After everything I did? You jumped through a window to save evidence that could destroy the man who ruined your life. That tells me everything I need to know about who you are. The train rattled through the darkness, carrying them away from the city, away from Marcus Webb and his empire of lies. Outside the windows, the storm was clearing, revealing patches of stars. Elena's phone buzzed. A news alert. Tech mogul Marcus Webb arrested on federal fraud charges. Webb Industries stock plummets. She showed it to Oliver. They read it together in silence. We did it, Elena whispered. We did. But Oliver knew this wasn't really an ending. Marcus would hire the best lawyers money could buy. The legal battles would drag on for years. There would be testimony and trials, and countless moments when they'd be forced to relive every betrayal. But looking at Elena, her head resting on his shoulder, her hand warm in his, Oliver realized something. Revenge hadn't healed the wound Marcus left. Elena had, not because she was perfect or innocent, or because their story was simple, but because she'd looked at all his broken pieces and decided to stay anyway. Where do we go from here? Elena asked. Oliver thought about his restaurant, sitting empty 47 floors above the city. He thought about the patents he'd spent 5 years developing, now tied up in legal proceedings. He thought about the life he'd built and lost and was now slowly, carefully beginning to rebuild. Forward, he said simply. We go forward. Elena lifted her head, her storm cloud eyes meeting his. Together? Together. She kissed him again, softer this time, full of promise instead of desperation. The train carried them into the night, 2 broken people who'd found each other in the ruins of their old lives and decided to build something new from the wreckage. 3 months later, Oliver's patents were restored. Elena's neural interface technology was returned to her name. Marcus Webb was convicted on 14 counts of fraud and attempted murder, sentenced to 20 years in federal prison. 6 months after that, Oliver reopened his restaurant with Elena as his partner. They called it Phoenix because they'd both risen from ashes. On opening night, Elena sat at table 12, reading The Count of Monte Cristo while Oliver watched from across the room, still unable to believe she was real. 1 year after the night they met, Oliver proposed in that same restaurant, during a storm that hammered against the windows like the universe giving its approval. Elena said yes. They were married on the anniversary of the day she'd jumped through a window to save them both. In their vows, they promised not perfection, but honesty. Not an easy love, but a true one. Not to save each other, but to stand together when the world tried to tear them apart. Marcus Webb would be released in 19 years. By then, Oliver and Elena would have built an empire that made his look like pocket change. They'd have used their combined technologies to revolutionize renewable energy and medical prosthetics. They'd have changed the world Marcus had tried so hard to conquer. But none of that mattered as much as the simple fact that every morning, Oliver woke up next to someone who understood what it meant to be broken and chose to love him anyway. And every night, Elena fell asleep knowing that the man beside her had looked at all her mistakes and decided she was worth fighting for. They'd been tested by storms and betrayal and their own capacity for trust. They'd been forced to choose between revenge and survival, between safety and truth, between running and standing their ground. And in the end, they'd chosen each other, because some loves are born in fire, some are forged in pain, and some grow in the quiet moments between disasters, when two people decide that the world might have tried to destroy them, but it failed to make them give up on hope. The rain hammered against the windows of their bedroom, 47 floors above the city. Oliver held Elena close, listening to her breathing even out as she fell asleep. Outside, the storm raged on, but inside, they were safe. They were together. They were home, the end.